Good morning, everybody. My name is Anisu Rezem. This is our Spiritual Sunday, special 4th of July edition, right? Uh, Today is a day that America celebrates independence, right? It's a day of celebration. And many people are going to be doing their barbecues and uh, things are getting better out of the challenges we have been facing with the pandemic, right? And hopefully you consider, if you have not yet been vaccinated, you're going to be considering that idea, right? And also it's a for us it's a moment of reflection no matter what, so we're going to record our meeting anyway, right? And we have, as always, an inspiration from the gospel according to Spiritism, something to talk about our spirituality today, and get us um, you know give us some thoughts to um, how to deal with our lives and how to go forward, bringing the spiritual values to our lives. And with that in mind, if you let me ask Ejimara, whenever you can, to maybe say our opening prayer.
Good morning, everybody. Happy 4th of July when we celebrate, like Anita was saying, the Independence Day of this country, when this country became a nation on its own. And I think there is no better time for us to say a prayer and to send our best vibration for this country. So I invite everyone to mentalize, to think about the United States of America, what that stands for. That's a nation of freedom, that everybody's a welcome, and that we're all the same, right? We're all Americans. Everybody who is here in this country, incarnate and discarnate, are all Americans. So let's send our best vibrations to everyone, vibrations of love, vibrations of peace, and ask Jesus to bless our country today, that all the celebrations that are going to happen in this whole country be based on love, freedom, peace, all following God's laws, which are the most important thing for us, to follow all God's laws with all our hearts. So I would like to open our talk today saying, God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ejimara, for getting us started on the right foot. And I guess the inspiration for today is like Ejimara already touched the nerve, and one of the most difficult things for us to comprehend, not just to comprehend, but to manifest in our lives, right? So if there's one thing, one fundamental, one important thing we're going to be emphasizing today, is to calling attention, and try to give you some backing to one fundamental concept of the gospel, of the, the essence of Christianity, and most, not most, but at least most spiritual movements that guide her into the right direction. Is we're inspired right now by chapter 7, right, of the Gospel according to Spiritism, where Kardec explores the blessed are the poor in spirit, right? And specifically, there's a concept that is at the core, and in fact, anyway, if you think about, we're in our special 4th of July uh, uh, meeting, and even Jimara mentioned already in the prayer. Like the Constitution of the States embeds this value in itself, where all men are equal, right? It's in the paper, right? But of course, implementing that in real life is super difficult. And what we're going to do, what we're going to emphasize today is that that concept is not an American concept. It's actually not even a human concept. This is truly, fundamentally, a divine concept. It's a divine concept. It comes from the fundamental creations of the way the universe is. That's how far we go into putting this in perspective. So fundamentally, if you look into all of us, we are exploring all of us being created by God, in all of us, our lives being given by the same God, all loving, all encompassing, all embracing, single God. So we all come from the same origin, from the creation of the divine, from a divine creation. At some point in time, that God knows when it happened, we don't know, and the backs of times, we don't know. And for us, as you, if you have seen any one of our meetings before, or any one of our teachings, we don't believe we're created when our bodies are created. We are truly spirits, we are souls, whatever you want to call it, but we were created a long time ago, right? We don't know how far behind, we don't know how many lives we have lived before, and how many lives we're going to live ahead of us. So we don't know. That number can stretch unimaginably, whatever we need. But we're fundamentally beings that have been living for a long time and are going to leave the horizon is actually forever. So in terms of our evolution towards the divinity. So in that sense, all the laws of nature that we can possibly understand, everything that has been created by divinity, everything that creates this universe that surrounds us. Think about how many things surround and create this space, this planet, the surroundings, nature, everything that shapes the universe that surrounds us and we are actually embedded into is carved out of natural laws. This is a new understanding for us. We in the past we thought that things would happen more randomly, but nowadays, with the understanding of science, we know that there's a lot of laws, a lot of things that actually govern nature, right? Like the law of gravity, electricity, and think about that. That every single one of those laws affects you and me exactly the same. Affects every single one of us exactly the same. There's absolutely no difference if you ever went into the if you are into physics and if you check any of the equations of physics like force equal to mass and acceleration, I mean, any of the, think about any E equal to mc squared, like the famous Einstein equation that people are actually even putting t-shirts, right? It's a very popular concept. uh, when you look into all those equations, there's nothing to do about the individual. Those are laws that govern the whole universe that surrounds us, regardless of who you are, regardless of your position in our society, regardless of how much resources, how much money you have or not, regardless of any specific individual situation you might be in, right? Any specific situation. This is simply a universal, all-encompassing approach where every single one of us is embedded in the same environment from the divine perspective. Everything that comes from God, right, manifests the same for all of us. The chemistry of our bodies is exactly the same. There's no difference between your chemistry and my chemistry, no matter which race I am, no matter color of my skin, no matter my uh, uh, gender, no matter my sexual orientation. So the chemistry in your body is exactly the same of the chemistry of mine, right? And so everything that comes from the divine, everything that emanates from God, it's done in a way that encompasses all of us. But yet we don't feel like that. We don't feel like that. We feel fundamentally separated. In humans, if you look into our society, you look at the way we organize ourselves, we organize us in groups, in different factions, in political understanding. So we create all sorts of separations, all sorts of ways to, you know, tell us apart. So who you are is different to who I am, and we disconnect ourselves. We simply disconnect ourselves. And if you meditate a little bit about that, you'll see that most most of the problems, most of the challenges we create for ourselves as a society and even as individuals, they stem from this separation we have, from this lack of connection to one another. If you just meditate a little bit, a lot of our problems come simply from that. Because when we separate from each other, we feed the concept of selfishness. We feed the concept that I'm myself in my own universe, in my own world, and that's what I need to care about. That's where where I am. And you, as another individual, you're not part of that, right? And we even, of course, pick and choose the people that come to our world or not, right? We 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 prejudge. We have a very intense way of measuring and comparing ourselves to other people, right? And if this is done in a larger scale, then you have the society we have today, right? Um, so the fundamental core teaching of spirituality and of spiritism, and I think of Christianity, and that's the idea we're going to emphasize today. And this is probably is this radical proposal where fundamentally every single one of us is a child of God exactly the same way. And all the manifestations that make us different are just circumstances of the moment, just circumstances of the moment. Even gender, right? Kardec, this was extremely, when Kardec published the Spirits book in the late 1800s, right? There is a specific question over there where about the, the spirits of men and women. Are they the same, right? Because, of course, as you may imagine, Europe of the late 1800s was not a very open-minded society towards women, right? And the answer was very clear. The spirits are the same. So the spirits of men and women are exactly the same. So which means you can have an experience as a man, as a on a as a female, or as a male, depending on your spiritual needs, right? And that's very difficult for us sometimes to comprehend, right? This is one of the discussions that very interesting in some of our study groups when we even think about that, because it's a kind of a radical, because there's a lot of components that come to dealing with your biology. But that's exactly the case. So we could be in the next life either one, whatever the gender, wherever the biological gender I need for my spiritual growth, whatever kind of experience you might need. And I learned I learned there's one thing that makes me happy about that, because I think one of the most beautiful things sometimes, if you think about the difference in genders, is bearing children, right? So women have an experience to have a child, which is for a man, like if you think about the stereotypical man, it's something unthinkable, but it's an incredible, powerful, I think, experience uh, to having that connection with the child, right? And so which means I have hope that maybe in a future life or in the past life I already did it. Probably not lately. But this is a radical concept that whatever is going on with us right now, whatever, and now we get into our daily lives where if you think about our daily lives, they're quite different, right? So nobody's going through exactly the same thing. Then the variations and differences of how our life manifests can go to extremes, right? Because what you're going through right now can be absolutely completely different from what I'm going through right now. Your experience in the daily manifestation of your life can be quite different. And then we have this illusion that you're completely separated from me, right? So again, the invitation from the teachings is like that. Okay, analyze that with humbleness. And why humbleness comes through as one of the core pillars of the gospel? Because humbleness puts you always suggests that you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? And you see them with an open mind. Because if you look around yourself right now, and this is an exercise we can do right now. If you just look around yourself and all the people that are part of your life, just think for a moment that all those experiences, all the things that are happening right now to all the people around you can be your experience in the future or could have been your experience already in the past. Every single one of them. Isn't that powerful? When you just think about the goods and the bads, all the experience that are happening, all the people that are around you right now, everything they're going through can be your future or could have been already your past. That's extremely powerful. But look at the consequence of looking at people around you in that way. It creates a natural compassion. It invites you to have compassion. But if you think, if you, on the other way around, if you just see all the experiences around you as completely different and stunk and apart from you and nothing to do with you, it disconnects you from them. It disconnects you from what's happening with these individuals. It removes the element of compassion because you think, I'll never do that. How many times we hear that expression, right? I'll never do that. How stupid or how insane those people are because they're doing this or that, or how lucky they are because of doing this or that, right? In fact, in that moment, what you're saying is disconnection because whatever they're doing, they're nothing to do with you, right? And surprise, surprise, right? And I've tried myself to do exercises, especially with experiences that are more extreme to me, to always try to see how much that difference is so little. And there's a passage actually from Chico Xavier, I think. Chico Xavier used to, of course, in his charitable work, used to visit places of suffering, right? Um, and jails were one of those places that he used to go, right? And once I think it was a discussion with Emmanuel. He was talking with his mentor, and there was a he was living in I think in Uberaba at the time, or maybe Pedro Leopoldo. But those are somewhat small cities compared. Uberaba a little bigger, but Pedro Leopoldo is pretty small. And if you ever lived in a small town, you would know that if a crime happens, it shakes the core of the whole city, right? I grew up in a small town as well, so every time a crime happens, everybody is touched. In this one of those happened in the city Chick was living in. I forgot which one of those. A very horrendous crime, like somebody was murdered in some you know very difficult situations, and the crime was very much touched the whole city. And Chico was very saddened by that situation, and he came to Emmanuel and talked about, oh my goodness, how this person could do. And he was like talking to the mentor and saying, how come a spirit, a person, could commit such a crime in such a situation? And Emmanuel, as you might know if you are familiar, he's very straight and very direct and very. And he told Chico is just one of us that has been discovered. Just a few steps in our lives, we could be in situations that are as bad as those. What if our parents haven't taken good care of us? What if we have made difficult choices, or if we have gone through hardships that we don't imagine? What if people have abandoned us? What if the people we love didn't give us stability, and we maybe grew up in a very hostile environment, right? What if we had some examples in our lives of corruption and crime? What if someone had taught us crime since the beginning, uh, since our infancy? Would we be the same people we are today, right? And same thing. What if that criminal, that person that committed this horrendous crime, had been exposed to uplifting examples, to a more stable environment? Would they still be exactly that? That's why the invitation is, um, we really don't know how we would act on a situation somebody else is going through unless we truly go through that same process. That's why humbleness is a fundamental core, because you don't really know. Right now, when I judge my brothers and my sisters, when I judge the people that live around me, and I say, and I approach and I see what they do, and I make my judgment, I pass my judgment saying, I would never do that. I really don't know. I really don't know, because I'm not experiencing exactly what's going through right now. And that humbleness is this protection that tells us, because I truly don't understand the individual. And because if I really assimilate the teaching that we're all children of God, right? We all will be embraced, right? So be careful when we pass judgment. And humbleness is kind of that protection. In the ways of pride is the ways of the manifestation of a lot of the problems we have in our life, when we simply um, see ourselves with this, inner cancer, I would say, that separate us, and we think of ourselves as simply better than anybody else or anyone else or any group of people, right? If we think about at least a basic spiritual, I don't, it doesn't matter if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in spirits, if you don't believe in any of those things, but if you just embrace this simple concept, right, which is pretty, I think is pretty logic. If you just look at science, if you just look at how much the laws of nature apply to everyone, and you forget about God, forget about spirituality, and you just embrace this understanding, this compassion between individuals, you already did a major step in your spiritual growth, right? If in your life you manage to manifest compassion to all the people around you, you have made a gigantic step towards your spiritual growth. Gigantic. If you truly embrace that. And of course, if you embrace spirituality, if you embrace God, if those concepts already contact you, connect to your heart, then it's a must. Then it's a must that we work on all those prejudices and all those situations, that all those historical emotions that we still have on the outside, not in control in our minds, and we move into the direction of an understanding that we're all in the same universal family from the same God that connected the whole creation from the atom to the angels, right? Connecting us as a one incredibly amazing, loving chain of reactions that unite us. So that's kind of the message, the message for today in our 4th of July meeting. And with that in mind, let me invite you to take a few moments now of meditation. Find, if you could, if you can, a kind of relaxing or a quiet environment. We're gonna get a little bit of music around us, and prepare ourselves to have our meditation, our visualization. Mother, Father God, as we silence our minds for a moment, as we quieten our thoughts for a moment, let us take the opportunity to just open our hearts and our minds feel your presence, to just allow our hearts, our minds, our souls to bathe consciously in your compassion. How incredible is the world that surrounds us? How incredible are the things that have to work so we can just take a simple breath of air. Don't let us, Divine Creator, take it for granted in this very moment. In this very moment, let us be aware of your incredible compassion to every single one of us. And regardless, despite of whatever might be going on, of whatever challenges we might be facing, just feel right here, right now, the companionship of the spirits that surround you. You are not alone. You've never been. You have never been alone. We are fundamentally connected to one another in a chain of love that goes through the infinite of creation. And in this moment, I make my choice to consciously be a link in that chain. I, Mother, Father, God, right here, right now, embrace my presence, my manifestation in life itself. Together, we form the manifestation of life in the universe. And as I feel this energy flow through my head, to my toes, from body, mind, and spirit, I accept, I embrace, and I manifest gratitude in my heart, right here and right now. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And as we prepare ourselves to get ready for our closing prayer, embracing and connecting with all this energy that surrounds us, and let me say the closing prayer. So right now in this moment, Mother, Father, God, We ask for our families, for our friends, for our community. We ask that every single one in our circle of daily life be touched right now by the positive energies, by the connections that we're making right here, right now. We ask that your healing go way beyond our walls, our group, goes through our community, goes through this whole city, and embrace this whole country. And yet, doesn't stop here. It goes and embraces the whole planet, from north to south, east to west, all, all of us, the living beings of Earth, in the flesh and in spirit. May light surround and embrace our planet, our home, in this divine universe. Thank you very much. And with that in mind, we ask permission to our mentors and guides, to our Master Jesus, the model, the example, the humble one, permission to close our meeting this Sunday. We hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead of you. Have a great 4th of July, um, and continue with your celebration if you're in America. If not, you guys have a wonderful week ahead of you. Stay tuned.